My name is Musa, son of Bekari, and if you have time to sit under this mango tree with me, I will tell you a story I witnessed with my own two eyes. It happened many seasons ago, in our village of Kafa, a place where the baobabs stretch their arms into the sky and the harmattan winds leave dust on every doorway. In those days, there lived a girl called Adama. Everyone in Kafa knew Adama, not because of her laughter, for she did not laugh much, nor because of her beauty, for the village boys would say she had none. They knew her because of the bands that covered the left side of her face, stretching from her temple down to her jaw like a river of blackened earth. The older women said the bands were from when Adama was only a small child, no taller than a yam stalk. Her mother had left a pot of palm oil boiling on the fire and gone to fetch water from the stream. Little Adama, playing near the hearth, had tipped the pot over herself. Since that day, her skin never healed straight. It stayed twisted, shiny in the sun, and dark like roasted plantain. Children would whisper behind her, "You. Look at her face, it's cursed. No man will ever take her to his father's compound." Even the grown men with grey in their beards, would shake their heads and say, "That one will never wear a bride's coral beads." But Adama, she walked on, carrying her calabash to the river, sweeping her mother's courtyard, grinding millet at the village mortar. She moved with a kind of quiet that made you lower your voice when she passed. Her mother, Mama Rukaya, was a tough woman, broad-shouldered and thick-waisted, with hands rough from years of pounding fufu and weaving mats. She would pull Adama close and mutter, "Ignore them, my daughter. The moon does not need permission to shine." But sometimes, at night, I would see Mama Rukaya sitting by the fire, turning her face so the smoke would hide her tears. Now, in our village, marriage was the bright crown of a girl's life. By the age of 16, the girl was expected to have suitors bringing tubers of yam to her father's hut, drinking sweet palm wine under the moon while discussing bride price. Adama had reached 16, then 17, then 18, and not a single suitor had come. The other girls of her age, Aisha, Halima, Nafisa, were being married off one by one. They painted their bodies with red camwood, wove tiny bells into their hair, and danced under the mango trees, laughter spilling like water from a cracked gourd. Adama stayed behind, scrubbing cooking pots till her fingers turned raw, singing to herself low songs that sounded like the river in the dry season, soft and sad. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the sky turned the color of ripe pawpaw, I saw something that made my heart twist. The young men, the sons of the rich farmers and the blacksmiths, were gathered at the village square, tossing pebbles into a broken calabash for sport. When Adama walked past, balancing a bundle of firewood on her head, one of them, a boy called Ismaila, who thought himself clever, called out, "Yai, Adama. Even if your beauty was hidden inside a pot, not even a blind man would lift the lid." The others roared with laughter, slapping their thighs. Adama stopped. For a moment, she said nothing. The wood creaked on her head. Then she lifted her chin slightly, turned her head, the burnt side, fully toward them, and gave a smile so calm it silenced their laughter like a wind snuffing a flame. She walked on. From that day, my respect for her grew 100-fold. Now, let me tell you about Adama's gift. Though many were too foolish to notice, Adama was a master of herbs. Her grandmother, Mama Hadaiza, may the ancestors bless her soul, had taught her the knowledge of roots and leaves, how the bark of the neem tree could bring down a fever, how the soft inside of the baobab fruit could cure the worst coughs. Every morning, Adama would rise before the cocks crowed, tie a faded wrapper around her waist, and slip into the bush with a small woven basket. She gathered leaves, roots, seeds, whispering greetings to the spirits of the trees. Some said she could heal wounds that even the village herbalist, Baba Jimba, could not. But because of her face, people still held her at arm's length. They would send a child to collect a healing potion, placing cowrie shells in a calabash without looking her in the eyes. Adama is useful, they would say. But keep your distance, fools. All of them. They did not know that trouble was already riding the dry wind towards Kafa, like a hunter stalking prey. The first sign came when Sunny, the son of the chief, fell ill. At first, it was just a cough, dry and rasping like old leaves. Then came the fever, so hot you could fry a fish on his forehead. His mother, the proud mama lady, rushed to summon Baba Jimba, the herbalist. They brewed potions, sacrificed a white hen to the river goddess, smeared ash on Sunny's chest. Nothing worked. Soon, 2 more children fell sick. Then an old woman. Then the wife of the chief hunter. The village was afraid. Whispers of a plague danced from hut to hut. The elders called meetings under the Iroko tree. Drums were beaten, sacrifices were offered at the shrine. Still, the sickness spread. People began closing their doors early. Mothers tied amulets around their children's necks. Fathers sharpened their machetes, as if the illness could be fought like an enemy warrior. And through it all, Adama watched. Silent. Steady. Waiting. Then came the day when Baba Jimba himself fell ill. I still remember the sound of the wailing that morning, thin and high like the cry of a goat being slaughtered. The villagers stood helpless, looking at each other, the fear thick as smoke in the air. Who will heal the healer? They asked. It was old Mama Quail, the oldest woman in the village, who finally said in her cracked voice, "The one you mock holds the answer." All eyes turned, slowly, shamefully, toward the small figure sitting alone by the market wall, grinding baobab seeds into powder. Adama. I saw it myself. I was there, standing by the pepper seller's stall, chewing roasted groundnuts. I saw the chief himself, in his long flowing agbada, walk toward Adama and bend his proud head low. And I heard the words he spoke. "My daughter, we need your help." Adama looked up slowly when the chief spoke. The village square had fallen into such a deep hush that you could hear the flies buzzing around the overripe mangoes. The women clutched their wrappers tighter, the men shuffled awkwardly, not meeting each other's eyes. I watched her carefully, watched how she wiped her hands calmly on her faded wrapper, stood up, and gave a small bow to the chief. She did not weep, or shout, or boast. She simply said, in that soft voice of hers, "I will do what I can." And with that, Adama slung her basket over her shoulder and walked to the home of Baba Jimba, the sick herbalist. No fanfare. No drum beats. Just quiet footsteps. At Baba Jimba's hut, the stench of sickness hit like a slap. I hovered at a respectful distance as Adama entered. She did not flinch. She knelt by the old man, placed a hand on his forehead, and closed her eyes for a long moment. Then, she went to work. She asked for a fire to be lit, not a big roaring one, but a small, steady flame. She crushed bitter leaves between stones. She boiled neem bark until the smell was so strong it made our eyes water. She mixed powders from seeds none of us even recognized. For 3 days and 3 nights, Adama tended to Baba Jimba. She hardly slept. I saw her once, in the blue light of dawn, her face looking so tired and hollow it broke my heart. Yet she moved with purpose, never hesitating. By the 4th day, Baba Jimba's fever broke. I was there when he sat up slowly, blinking at the world as though he had just been born again. His wife screamed with joy and began to dance right there in the dust, spinning like a dry leaf caught in a whirlwind. Word spread through Kafa faster than dry season fire through bush grass. Adama healed Baba Jimba. The burnt girl carries the hands of the ancestors. She holds secrets even the spirits respect. Before the sun set that day, a line of villagers had formed outside Mama Rukaya's compound, each one carrying a basket, a goat, a pot of honey, even fine wrappers as gifts. They came to beg Adama for healing. They came with bowed heads, bare feet, and shame heavy on their shoulders. I saw men who once laughed at her kneel in the dust. I saw women who once pulled their children away from her now pressing those same children into her hands, begging her to save them. And Adama, that wonderful girl, treated them all. No pride. No anger. no bitterness. She healed the old and the young, the rich and the poor, the ones who mocked her and the ones who pitied her alike. Our village, once so proud and foolish, survived the sickness because of her. It did not stop there. One evening, just as the new moon rose thin and silver in the sky, a stranger arrived at Kaffa. He rode a tall grey horse, his clothes rich and fine, his skin glowing with health. His name was Malam Idris, a wealthy merchant from beyond the river lands. He had heard of the girl with the healing hands and come to see for himself. I watched from under the baobab tree as Malam Idris approached Adama. He did not laugh at her. He did not flinch at the scars on her face. He spoke to her respectfully, as one would to a queen. For 3 days, Malam Idris stayed in our village, watching how Adama worked, how she cared for the sick, how she taught even the smallest children the names of the healing plants. On the 3rd evening, just as the sun bled gold into the western sky, he did a thing that stunned us all. Malam Idris went to Mama Rukaya's compound, bringing with him kola nuts, palm wine, and 3 fat rams, the traditional symbols of a marriage proposal. He knelt before Mama Rukaya and said, "I wish to take your daughter Adama as my wife. Not for her beauty, not for her scars, but for the treasure of kindness and wisdom she carries inside her." The women gasped. The men murmured among themselves. Had the world turned upside down? The ugly girl, the girl they pitied, was now to become the wife of a great merchant. But I, Musa, son of Bekari, I only smiled. Because I had seen what the others were too blind to notice. Adama had a beauty deeper than smooth skin, a beauty that even death and disease bowed before. At first, Mama Rukaya wept so much she could not speak. When she finally wiped her eyes, she gave her blessing. The marriage feast was like nothing Kaffa had ever seen. Drums beat from morning till night. The smell of jollof rice and goat pepper soup filled the air. Women danced in swirling wrappers of red, gold, and blue. Old men tapped their canes and nodded wisely, as if they had known all along what a treasure Adama was. And Adama herself? She wore a wrapper so fine it shimmered in the sunlight, woven with tiny golden threads. Around her neck, coral beads shone bright against her skin. And she smiled, a full, radiant smile that seemed to light the very air. When Malam Idris lifted her veil, he did not flinch. He kissed her scarred forehead tenderly, as though she were the crown of the river goddess herself. Some say they left Kaffa not long after, traveling beyond the great river to build a new home in a land of green hills and endless fields. Some say they became great healers, sought by kings and queens. But me, I remember Adama every time I see the young girls sitting by the river, combing their hair and worrying over small blemishes on their faces. And I say to them, beauty fades. But kindness and courage, my children, they grow more powerful with every season, like the great baobab that starts as a tiny seed. And that is how a girl mocked and shunned became the pride of a village. That is how Kaffa learned never again to judge the worth of a soul by the smoothness of their skin. I swear by the ancestors, every word I have told you is true. Make sure to like the video and subscribe as the stories are just about to get better.